Based on the application inputs you provided, this is the wet well recommendation size, so 6 foot diameter by 16 feet deep. This video is to give civil engineers and wastewater pump station engineers a comprehensive overview of budget calculator for packaged pump stations. Here at XL Fluid Group, we commonly get involved with packaged pump stations ranging from under 100,000 gallons per day up to 10 million gallons per day. This tool's current range is designed for under 100,000 gallons per day and is currently limited to 2.25 million gallons per day flow capacity, but there will be future revisions coming. So going through the pump station budget calculator, there's a couple conditional questions that we'll ask to help better understand your application. As you can see, there's different industries. For this example, we'll pick municipal, and we can look at sanitary, stormwater, and leachate runoff or process wastewater. In this case, we'll select sanitary wastewater. And then there's a few questions here. We'll ask, do you know what your total dynamic head is for the design application? So you can select yes. If you select no, we'll help calculate your total dynamic head based on your site elevations and force main length. So the pump station sizing, you'll need to know what your invert depth is below grade, and then what your force main material type is, and your force main diameter. And then the peak factor, typically the EPA recommends between 3 and 5, so we'll select 4 for now. And then our total dynamic head, in this example, we'll use 55. If you know what your design flow rate is, you can enter that, or in this case, select the household count, which will enter 250 homes, and using the EPA design recommendations of 250 gallons per day, that works out to an average daily flow of about 43 GPM. Using peak factor of 4, this pump station design point is now 172 gallons per minute. So a few different additional site risks or different challenges that we can try and address, whether it be flood zone, whether it be easement restrictions, confined space entry hazards, odor control, emergency storage requirements, etc. So in this case, we'll select confined space entry hazards, and then moving into wet well material type. So we've got precast concrete, fiberglass, or high density polyethylene wet wells, which we fabricate here at XL. On this example for sanitary wastewater, we recommend HDPE. And then how do you want your valves configured is the next section here. So whether we've got a separate below grade valve vault, our above ground no vault enclosure, or in southern climates, on grade valves. So other options for configuration of valves would be having a integrated valve vault with a fiberglass tank. That just keeps your valves out of your wet well, which is a confined space entry hazard. We'll select the no vault enclosure. The no vault, the main reason for selecting the no vault is it eliminates confined space entry. It's user friendly. There's not a separate valve vault, so there's no differential settling concerns. And then also it's a very compact footprint. So if you have limited utility easement or any other site restrictions, say next to a roadway or near a creek or something, no vault's a great option to go with. The standard finish is a polished aluminum, or we can get some different architectural vinyl finishes depending on your site layout. Here we've got a few different additional items to add into the force main or into the piping header, whether it be flow meter, pressure gauges, etc. And then here, based on the application inputs you provided, this is the wet well recommendation size, so 6 foot diameter by 16 feet deep. And this can be changed as well. Those are some different nominal wet well diameters. For this case, we'll leave the wet well the same as the recommendation and move on to the next area. So polymer concrete, flat top with a standard hatch and safety grade is an option, or if we need to do a field poured concrete slab around the access hatch, especially if it's an H20 access hatch, is an option. And then moving into some additional wet well options, whether we have odor control, aeration blower, whether we have inlet trash basket or channel grinder, and then different submersible pump styles. So in this case, we'll select chopper pumps, just with domestic sanitary wastewater. And then the level controls, we recommend having a submersible transducer with a stilling well, as well as backup floats. However, you can have either or. In this case, we'll select both. And then your on-site electrical, whether it be single phase or 3-phase power. We prefer 3-phase. And then a few different control options here, whether it be variable frequency drives, cross-the-line starters, or soft starters. In this case, we'll recommend or select across-the-line starters for our control panel. And then there's some additional electrical components whether you need a generator receptacle, an auto dialer for remote communication, or meter base or disconnect can be selected. And then for federally funded projects, Build America, Buy America certification is key. So that is an optional add-on, or American Iron and Steel certification is another requirement depending on what the funding agency is. So in this case, we'll select no for both of them. And then we'll need to know where the location is. So we do include a delivery of the package pump station to the job site anywhere in the United States. So putting in your rough location, whether it be a city or county, and then the zip code is key to help calculate the mileage rates. So once we've inputted that detail, request obviously your name and your email. We'll send you a summary of the pump station selection and the budget pricing. And then selecting your project timeline just helps us with our design engineering scheduling. And then if there's any additional site elevation drawings or specifications or details you want to share or upload, that can be done here as well. So this is the result of the budget calculator. So Build America, Buy America certification and AIS is not included. And then the pump station, we've got an HDPE 6-foot diameter by 16-foot deep wet well. We've got our design inflow, and then the TDH details, our pipe diameter, that would be for your piping and valves and the force main. We did not select any additional emergency storage requirements in the wet well. The no vaults, the above grade no vault enclosure comes standard with your air release valve, charge piping valves, flow meter, pressure gauge in this case. And then we selected chopper pumps. So for the design flow rate of 172 GPM, 5 horsepower chopper pump is sufficient for this application. There's some additional educational details and content you can view, and then this will also be sent to you in an email summarizing the selections that you made and the budget pricing. We trust this pump station budget calculator is a useful tool for the civil engineering community, especially in conceptual design phase or early feasibility studies, looking at what a pump station a budget price or rough order of magnitude price would be. And we're happy to have further conversations with you to help dial in that range to a specific project you might be working on, and look forward to hearing from you on your projects.